Separating sports by sex doesn't make sense. Yes, it does. Because again, we haven't reinvented Homo sapiens since Crystal Pepsi came out. I've spent 3 decades on TV mocking Republicans who said climate change was just a theory. And now I got to deal with people who say, you know what else is just a theory? But that can't happen overnight. Because the people who aren't getting the food or the medicine, they're the ones who are going to suffer. You don't see why people find this incredibly cruel?
You said earlier that we're treating it as if it's an overweight person, putting them on a crash diet. Oh no. The federal government is essentially somebody who's 800 pounds. And you cannot survive like this. So yes, there are some drastic measures that have to be taken. And I will add this to you. If you think it's bad now, if we get into a real debt crisis, it will be significantly worse for the American people and other people that we might help around the globe. The best thing to do right now, get in quick. You're going to have to shut some things down, triage the area, rebuild the stuff that is good, that we all can agree with. The other stuff that's hyper-political or makes no sense or fraudulent.
What about the Department of Education? Now, I don't know that much about it, but I've never read good things. Yeah. Rahm Emanuel, who I agree with almost everything, here was a quote. He said, "A third of 8th graders can't read, and now he wants to close the department." And I thought, that's...
In a recent video, I asked for your thoughts on Bill Maher, but after watching his latest episode, you might be even more puzzled about where he's heading. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Before I dive into how Bill Maher managed to undermine both the woke movement and himself, let's first take a look at his past when he tried to poke fun at the Democrats.
If I give you $1 billion and you can't tell me what happened to it, that to me is wasteful. That means you are not responsible. But if you can't tell me where it went, then what am I supposed to think? An $850 billion budget to an organization that can't pass an audit and tell you where that money went, I think most people would consider that somewhere in the realm of waste, fraud, or abuse, because they would wonder why that money isn't well accounted for. But I'm a human being who lives on the earth. How $850 billion to a department means that the rank and file still have to be on food stamps. To me, that's fucking corruption.
And people
claim she's remained silent to this day, which I find baffling. How can someone like him stay so confused while mocking both sides of the media throughout different administrations? The same can definitely be said about Bill Maher.
That human was no longer selfish. In America today, that human is no longer born male or female. And obesity is not something that affects health. You can be healthy at any size. Really, we voted on it. A formerly serious magazine last year published with a straight face an article called "Separating Sports by Sex Doesn't Make Sense." Yes, it does. Because again, we haven't reinvented Homo sapiens since Crystal Pepsi came out. I've spent 3 decades on TV mocking Republicans who said climate change was just a theory. And now I got to deal with people who say, you know what else is just a theory?
For me, it's mind-boggling that woke liberals are arguing over something that hasn't been debated in 25,000 years. And if you've noticed, common sense seems to be making a comeback with Bill Maher's audience.
What about the Department of Education? Now, I don't know that much about it, but I've never read good things. Yeah. Rahm Emanuel, who I agree with almost everything, here was a quote. He said, "A third of 8th graders can't read, and now he wants to close the department." And I thought, that's probably why they can't read. Or at least partly. I mean, the numbers keep getting worse and worse and worse. And I don't know if the Department of Education is anything but, I mean, it doesn't really, I don't know what it does, except take money. It's sort of a middleman. It doesn't run classrooms or do stuff like that. I don't think it makes policy.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what we're diving into now. Bill Maher sharing his opinion on this could cause him some trouble in the future, but he knows how to navigate the situation.
The California lawmakers just passed a law giving government assistance to undocumented immigrants to buy houses. That's kind of a different place than the Democratic Party used to be on immigration, is it not?
Well, let me just say, immigration had always been a bipartisan issue. I refer you to
But not free houses.
Well, that's not free housing. It's the American dream being available to more people. California's always in the lead. Maybe others will follow that lead, but that's up to those states.
So you'd vote for this law?
Well, I'm not familiar with exactly what it is, but making the American dream of home ownership available to all people is something we have to do for people who are here now.
This is for the undocumented.
See, this is exactly what I mean. Even though she knows she's wrong, she keeps brushing the issue aside. Just to remind her, the American dream is meant for Americans, not illegal immigrants. On the flip side, we have Rob Schneider, a friend of Bill Maher, who has a completely different perspective.
President Trump this week just did an executive order saying that boys can no longer play in girls' sports. That's it. That's it. Ladies, isn't it ironic that the biggest protector of women turned out to be the pussy grabber? Huh? Maybe the guy who grabs it knows how to protect it the best. Think about that. Think about that.
Maybe he's right, and that's why I love comedians. They have a way of making things click, unlike The View.
Under his administration, his next one, schools will teach students to love their country, not to hate their country like they're taught now. I gotta say, this one doesn't bother me so much. Because I think that, this is what I see when I see kids demonstrating, these progressives demonstrating for Hamas, the most illiberal people in the world, that, oh good, we're going to give America its comeuppance, asshole America. They kind of have been indoctrinated this way. And Chuck Schumer made a speech this week. He said anti-Semitism is a 5-alarm fire that must be extinguished. This is the highest ranking Jewish politician we've ever had in this country. He talked about when Jewish people hear chants like from the river to the sea. Do you understand that means wipe us out by any means necessary? Vulnerabilities in the party, James. The Democrats have...
You can clearly see the frustration on the faces of the Democrats. They know he's telling the truth, and there's nothing they can do to change that. This is why the Democrats always seem to get stuck in the mud, no matter how hard they try to clean up their image.
They asked them a question today, and I'm sure if you're of the type of person who just always hates the one team and loves what the other one does, they asked them a question about the crash. And they said, will you visit the crash site? Now, every other politician would go, of course, it was a tragedy. And he went, it's the water.
See, the things that really matter don't even register with them. Instead, they fixate on pointless ideas that nobody cares about. And that's exactly what Bill Maher is doing, trying to show them where they need to find balance.